Have you ever taken your usual pills in the morning, gone about your day and still felt off? Maybe a little dizzy, more tired than usual, or just not quite yourself? You chalk it up to aging, maybe even the weather, but deep down, something doesn't feel right? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many seniors are quietly struggling with strange symptoms that sneak up slowly, and here's the surprising part. Sometimes it's the very medications meant to help you that could be making you feel worse. Now, before we go any further, let's be clear. Medications save lives. They manage blood pressure, prevent strokes, ease arthritis pain, and help us breathe a little easier. But as we age, our bodies change. The way we absorb and respond to medicine changes, too. What worked fine at 50 might not sit so well at 70, and sometimes, without realizing it, side effects or medication overload can start to interfere with our daily lives, quietly, subtly, but significantly. That's why today, we're going to talk about something many doctors don't always explain clearly: how to recognize the signs that your medications might actually be making you sick. These signs aren't always dramatic. No flashing warning lights, but they are important, because when you know what to look for, you can speak up, get help, and feel like yourself again. So let's talk about it. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel in control of your health, not at the mercy of it. And by the end of this video, you'll know what warning signs to watch for and what to do if you spot them. Let's begin with something many people notice but rarely connect to their prescriptions: feeling unusually tired. Not the normal tired from a long day or a poor night's sleep, but that heavy, foggy kind of fatigue that makes it hard to focus or stay alert. If you're finding it difficult to finish a conversation without zoning out, or you feel like you could fall asleep in the middle of the afternoon, even though you've done nothing strenuous, don't just shrug it off. Certain medications, especially those for anxiety, depression, or even allergies, can cause this type of drowsiness, and in older adults, the effect can be even stronger. This kind of tiredness can quietly chip away at your quality of life. It makes you less likely to go out, take a walk, or even chat with friends. You might start skipping meals, missing appointments, or just losing your spark, all because of a drug that's supposed to help. But here's the good news: it doesn't have to be that way. A simple conversation with your doctor or pharmacist can often lead to a better dosage, an alternative medication, or even removing something you no longer need. Now, let's talk about another signal, one that too many people hide or dismiss: balance problems or dizziness. Have you ever stood up from a chair and suddenly felt the room tilt? Or walked across the living room and stumbled for no clear reason? Maybe you blamed it on aging or stiff joints. But what if I told you that many blood pressure medications, pain relievers, and even over-the-counter sleep aids can cause drops in blood pressure or interfere with your coordination? It's not just about feeling woozy. This can be dangerous. Falls are one of the leading causes of injury among older adults, and if your balance is being affected by your medication, that's a serious red flag. The trouble is, many people feel embarrassed to admit it. They don't want to seem weak or overly cautious. But here's something to remember: speaking up about these symptoms isn't complaining. It's protecting your independence. If you're feeling off balance more often lately, take a moment to think about when it started. Was it after a new medication was added? Did your doctor increase the dosage of something? Your body may be trying to tell you something. And it's always worth listening. Another thing that sneaks up on people is changes in mood. Now, this one can be tricky because it's easy to blame mood swings on all kinds of things: loneliness, stress, even the news. But sometimes medications can cause irritability, sadness, or even feelings of anxiety that weren't there before. You might find yourself snapping at your spouse, withdrawing from family, or just not enjoying things the way you used to. And here's the important part: It might not be just life, it might be chemical. Medications that affect your brain chemistry, like certain sleep aids, steroids, or even blood pressure pills, can alter your mood in subtle but powerful ways. If you've noticed that you're more on edge, easily frustrated, or feeling down for no real reason, take a moment to reflect. Did anything in your prescription routine change around the time your mood did? These shifts aren't all in your head. They're real, and they matter. You don't have to suffer in silence or tough it out. Your emotional well-being is just as important as your physical health. Sometimes the signs are right in front of us, but they're so common that we barely give them a second thought. Take digestive issues, for example. Have you noticed more stomach aches lately? Maybe some nausea in the morning, even when you haven't eaten yet? Or maybe your appetite just isn't what it used to be, food doesn't sit right, or you've started avoiding meals because you feel bloated or uncomfortable afterward. It's easy to blame that on getting older. After all, our digestion does change with age. But here's the truth. Certain medications can really mess with your stomach. Pain relievers, especially NSAIDs like ibuprofen, are known to irritate the stomach lining. Blood pressure meds can cause nausea. Even supplements, if taken incorrectly or combined with certain prescriptions, can leave your gut in knots. What's frustrating is that these symptoms often start slowly. One week you're just feeling a bit off. The next you've lost a few pounds without trying. Not because of a new diet, but because your body doesn't want to eat. And that's when real trouble can start. Malnutrition, weakness, and even depression can follow when your stomach is constantly upset. But this doesn't have to be your new normal. There are alternatives. Gentle medication swaps, food timing strategies, or something as simple as taking a pill with a small snack instead of on an empty stomach can make a world of difference. And while we're talking about the gut, let's not forget constipation, another silent signal that's often overlooked. You might assume it's just your body slowing down, or maybe you've even accepted it as part of your routine. But many medications, especially those for blood pressure, mood, or pain, can slow the digestive system way down. If your bathroom habits have changed noticeably, and it started around the same time as a new prescription, don't just reach for a laxative. That's only treating the symptom. The root cause might be chemical, and there could be a safer, easier solution than you think. Now, another sign that deserves more attention, one that sneaks into daily life and quietly steals your confidence, is forgetfulness. Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why? Or found yourself repeating stories or misplacing everyday items like your glasses or keys more than usual? Memory slips happen to everyone, especially as we age, but some medications can make those slips more frequent and more intense. Certain sleep aids, allergy medications, and even common antidepressants can fog your thinking. You might notice it most when you're trying to have a conversation and can't quite find the right word. Or maybe reading takes longer because your concentration drifts. These aren't just harmless little quirks. They can feel embarrassing and even a little scary. The good news is, it doesn't mean you're losing your mind. It might just mean your brain is reacting to something in your pill bottle. It's empowering to know that memory issues aren't always a sign of decline. Sometimes they're reversible. And the solution starts with a simple check-in. Ask yourself, when did this begin? What changed in my routine? Could this be related to a new medication or a new combination of medications? If so, that's something your doctor needs to know. And if they brush it off, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. Your mind is too important to ignore. And here's something else. Something people often ignore because it feels vague, hard to describe. Just not feeling like yourself. Maybe it's a sense of being off balance in life. Not just physically, but mentally or emotionally. You might not be depressed exactly, but you're also not joyful. You go through the motions, do what needs to be done, but there's a feeling that something's missing. and you can't quite put your finger on it. This off feeling is one of the hardest symptoms to explain, but also one of the most important to notice, because sometimes it's your body's way of whispering, something here isn't working. It could be a subtle interaction between medications, or maybe your body is no longer processing them the way it used to. The liver and kidneys slow down with age, and that changes how long drugs stay in your system. Even the same pill at the same dose can feel completely different in your 70s than it did in your 50s. You don't need to become a medical expert or memorize long names of medications. You just need to be a little more curious, a little more attentive to those small signals your body sends every day. Start by asking yourself, when did I last feel truly well, physically, mentally, emotionally? What's changed since then? And remember, it's not about blame. This isn't about blaming your medications, your doctor, or yourself. It's about awareness, because when you notice the early signs, you give yourself the chance to feel better sooner, to have more energy, clearer thoughts, better sleep. Because sometimes the way medications affect us isn't about pain or discomfort. It's about subtle shifts in how we live our lives. You may not realize you've pulled away from things you used to enjoy. That's why the next sign is so important. A loss of interest in daily activities. Maybe you used to love tending to your garden, baking a little something on weekends, or calling your grandkids just to hear their voices. But lately, those things feel like too much effort. It might not seem like a medical issue at first. You might think, well, I'm just tired, or life's slowed down a bit. But when you start skipping the things that used to bring you joy, or avoiding social outings because you feel too drained or foggy to keep up, something deeper might be going on. Medications that affect your brain, even ones that aren't classified as psychiatric, can dull your sense of motivation and pleasure. They can make everything feel a little muted, a little further away. This is one of the easiest signs to miss, because it can feel like your own decision. But if you look closely, you might see a pattern. A new prescription comes in, and a few weeks later, you stop going for your evening walks. You cancel lunch with an old friend. You spend more time alone, not because you want to, but because you feel like you have to. And that's not the life you deserve. You see, the goal of taking medication isn't just to keep your numbers in check. It's to help you live better, to keep you doing the things you love, staying sharp, active, and fulfilled. So if a pill is taking that away, even quietly, it's time to speak up. Your spark matters. And here's one more sign that your medication might be causing trouble, and this one can truly catch you off guard. New or worsening symptoms that don't make sense. Maybe your heart starts racing out of nowhere. Maybe your legs feel heavy or twitchy at night. Maybe you suddenly develop dry mouth, blurred vision, or tingling in your hands. These might seem random or even a little scary, but often they're side effects. What's tricky is that side effects don't always show up right away. Sometimes they take weeks, even months, to become noticeable, and sometimes we blame them on a new diagnosis, when really they're the result of drug interactions or simply our bodies struggling to keep up with a complex cocktail of medications. If something new and unexplained starts happening in your body, take a closer look at your medication list. Write down every pill, supplement, and over-the-counter aid you're taking, even the ones you think are harmless. Then match up the timeline. Did the symptom begin after a new drug was added or a dosage changed? If yes, that's not just a coincidence, it's a clue. And here's the part many people miss. Doctors don't always see the full picture. They might have prescribed just one or two of your medications, while others were added years ago by different specialists. It's not their fault. Our medical system is complicated, but you are the constant in that picture. You're the one who feels the changes. You're the one who notices the patterns. And that means you are your best advocate. So what can you do? Start by trusting what your body is telling you. Don't wait for a crisis to start asking questions. If you've experienced persistent fatigue, dizziness, stomach issues, mood swings, memory fog, loss of interest in life, or strange new symptoms, it's time for a conversation. Not just a quick phone call, but a real sit-down review of every medication you're taking. You can even ask your doctor or pharmacist for a medication review. They'll look at everything together, check for interactions, and see if something can be simplified or changed. Don't be afraid to ask why you're on each medication. Don't be afraid to ask if it's still needed. Sometimes prescriptions get renewed out of habit or were meant to be temporary, but stayed on the list. Other times, newer, safer options are available, but no one brings them up unless you ask. And if you're feeling unsure or brushed aside, bring someone with you to your appointments. A son, daughter, friend. Someone who can help ask questions, take notes, and make sure your concerns are truly heard. Because your voice matters. You've come so far in life. You've raised families, worked hard, faced ups and downs with grace and strength. You deserve to feel good in this season of life. You deserve clarity, energy, comfort, and peace of mind. And if that means adjusting your medications, even just a little, then it's worth it. Remember, these signs aren't meant to scare you. They're here to guide you. When you notice them, you gain insight. And when you act on that insight, you gain control. You're not stuck. You're not too old. You're not being difficult for speaking up. You're being wise. So here's what I want you to do right now. Take a deep breath. Think about what we've talked about.